Hi, my name is Travis Lindsay, and I am here. This is the first interview that I'm doing for the Conrey Center for Entrepreneurship at Cal State Fullerton. And with me today is recent entrepreneurship grad, Jonathan Alvarez. Jonathan, please introduce yourself to everybody here.
My name is Jonathan Alvarez. Thanks for the introduction, Lindsay or Travis. And yeah, I'm a recent grad at Cal State Fullerton. It's been a fantastic journey. School is not my strong suit, but I made it. And I've had some recent success with my startup, Soft School, my business teaching soft skills to students and users.
Very cool. Yeah. So, you're in good company. There's a lot of people who weren't great students but became really great entrepreneurs.
Mhm.
What pushed you towards entrepreneurship? I know that maybe some people think it's an easier major,
Mhm.
but if you have gone through the entrepreneurship program at Cal State Fullerton, you know that's not necessarily true because there's a lot of major projects that you do with local businesses and organizations, and you start a business, which is not an easy thing to do. So what motivated you to take this perilous journey?
I've always been in business. As far as I can remember, I was always trying to do something. I remember being in maybe second, third grade. I would make little origami sculptures and fold paper into these little animals or creatures and I would sell them at school. And my parents were like, John, you need to make as many as you can, go to your friends and sell them. Like, wow, you can make money. And I'd take that money, buy some candy, or I would buy more paper stock and make more creatures and sell more. And so I felt like it was always ingrained in me. It's just I didn't know what it would be. And so going to Cal State Fullerton, going to college, I I had two businesses before this main one. I tried to be a realtor. I got my real estate license, and that was very difficult. Making my own brand and whatnot, and trying to get clients for the properties I was trying to sell or sell to. My next business was a Nerf rental company, which specialized in mobilized parties to kids, youth groups, uh, having Nerf battles. And then finally, my most recent business idea is Soft School, which helps students learn soft skills. And I wasn't really the best student. I mostly was C's growing up, C's in college. But when I switched to business and especially the entrepreneurship, everything really changed. There was some traditional, watch a slide presentation from your professor or traditional lectures. But what changed was we actually had to work with real business owners. And most of what I had learned from school was theory, oh, this is what we learn in textbooks and what the case studies, which are all very valid in their own right. But something was different when I actually sat down with a business owner and said, and they had to bring their problem saying, we're struggling with this, and my team had to figure out those issues. And that's not a traditional environment, and I actually strived and did very well in that environment. And honestly, it taught me skills that I'm using now in my own business and in my own startup. So I think that the course is fantastic.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that you brought that up because there is a major difference between just learning something in the textbook and actually doing it. And I think that practical experience where you're actually doing that, where you're working with local businesses or organizations, nonprofits, what have you, you learn a lot more because
Right.
there's actual consequences to it, right?
Yeah.
So, soft school. Tell us more about that. Did you start it in the classroom? And if I remember correctly, you did pretty well in the tight and fast pitch from last year with that concept.
Yes, yes. So I started it in my first entrepreneurship course, 465A with Professor JJ. And the concept is we create a business and you try to build the business within the class interview, try to get quote unquote clients or customer validation. And my business idea was chosen out of maybe the 40. They made all students come up with a business, and the class chose mine. And honestly, I didn't expect it to go where it's going, because it was just an idea. But when we started to do the long interviews, we interviewed teachers, principals, counselors, students, some parents, and they all expressed this problem that their kids were struggling in these soft skills communications. And what we try to do is, okay, how can we fix this problem? And that's when our business plan came in. We thought about doing a physical school. We thought about doing a giant convention of soft skills, but really it boiled down to an at-home personal app that helps you in your specific needs. And that's what soft skills is about. And going to the Time Fast pitch, that's what I pitched, and it's a very different experience. I felt like I was in Shark Tank and everyone was watching me and I was on TV. That's what it felt like, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I remember after you finished your presentation, and it's what, 90 seconds. You're on the stage, maybe for the first time in your life. I don't know. Have you ever given a talk on stage before?
A talk? No. I was in orchestra and band, so that's the most stage I got. Other than that, no.
Right. Yeah. So when you're on a band, there's something in between you and the audience, and
Yeah.
that's your musical instrument. But you finish your presentation, 90 seconds, and then you passed it over, and you passed it back to the sharks, the judges that were there to ask questions,
Yeah.
and you did very well. You won the competition. What were some of the key things that you took from that competition, from that whole process? Putting together, for those of you who don't know, who are watching this, you first you enter the competition by submitting a 90-second video.
Hmm.
Then we have 100 plus judges review all those videos, rank them. Jonathan was one of the finalists on the university track. In addition to the university track, we have a high school track and a middle school track as well. So, kudos to those 12-year-olds in middle school who are submitting these videos, and they do a really great job.
Yeah.
So what were some of the key lessons that you took from that whole process?
Sure. So when I see from beginning to end, I really had to know my product. The questions that they were asking were some things I never had thought about. And that was the tricky part, because I had to come up with it on the spot. I don't remember a question now, but I do remember saying, oh my gosh, I never thought about that. How am I going to answer that? Oh, I do remember a question, actually. They said, how are you going to deal with the parents and knowing that their child's information is safe? I had never thought about something like that. I didn't talk to that many parents, so I didn't know what I was going to say. But I do remember that someone at my church is a IT specialist with the Anaheim School District. So I responded saying, our parents' security, or the child's security, will be fully covered because we have a IT specialist at the Anaheim School District. And so when we do run into that issue, we have someone that will cover those areas so the parents won't have to worry. And I didn't know that going into that question, but rather I knew my product well. I knew the people I talked about well to answer that question. Also, preparing beforehand, I spoke with one of my professors, and we had like a mini, not workshop per se, but he helped me for an hour, and that really solidified my pitch. I am pretty sure the other candidates did not practice one-on-one with someone, and I think that really set me apart from the other ones. He could fine tune and say, "Oh, Jonathan, don't say that. Don't say that." Or
Do,
Jonathan,
do,
add this. This
do,
this
do,
is really gonna push the
do,
judges towards your favor.
do you remember which professor it was?
Professor Sorrell,
Sorrell, yes.
fantastic.
Scott is great at that. He really gets into the nitty gritty. Jeff does it a lot as well, and so does Tom. Jeff Greenberg, Tom
Yeah,
Miller.
They're all great.
Yeah, they're all great with that, and so is JJ. But yeah, I think that what you're talking about here with the competition really melds well with what you were talking about earlier with the practical experience in the classroom.
Mm,
You really don't grow until you start actually trying to do it. So it's good, it's necessary to do all the work in the background where you're putting together your business plan, you're practicing by yourself with your pitch. But until you start bringing in outside feedback,
mm,
you really don't get the
yeah.
gains that you need, right?
Yep. 100%.
So soft school, let's circle back to that. Are you still working on that? Or are you building it? Have you launched at all?
Mhm.
What's the status?
Sure. So right now, me and my developer are working continuously on the app. Right now, it's in the web development. So users that are on Chromebooks, Macs, Windows, they're going to be using it. And eventually, once that is solidified, we're going to move on to the app portion. What's actually great about the browser is that we don't have to quote unquote focus on the app because it works on mobile really well right now and it works on the browser. We're in super, super early, I would say like alpha stage or even pre-alpha, like it's very early, but progress is going very, very well. This summer has been great progress. We only started in June and we have the website up. Yes, we have the website up and we plan on showcasing to schools and districts and teachers by the end of summer and have at least one soft skill ready to go. But other than that, the progress has been pretty well.
So, give people a little bit of insight on soft skills. I mean, you're absolutely right. It's one of those things that it's kind of hard to find or define, but people kind of know what you mean. When you're talking about it. So, what are some of the soft skills that you've seen that have sort of been neglected in the school system, maybe, or just in general, going
Yeah,
about life for people that are, your age or a little bit younger?
sure. When we interviewed teachers and principals, one of the main questions that we asked were, what is the soft skills that you see your students lacking? And I think the few big ones were, public speaking. I think a lot of people even now struggle with something like public speaking,
Yeah,
conflict
yeah,
resolution.
but yeah, sorry for jumping in, but yeah, public speaking. What was his name? Jerry Seinfeld had a really good joke about that. People,
Mhm.
would rather be dead than giving the eulogy. That
Right,
was his
right.
joke. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean,
yeah,
it's just something that terrifies people for some
yeah,
reason. Yeah. So
yeah.
sorry for butting in on that.
No, it's okay. No, I think that fits really well. People are terrified of that, and that's one of those skills that they see even start in the middle school, elementary level, and that just continues and goes on, right? So that was one: public speaking, conflict resolution. Whether you're having butts with your boss or you're fighting on the playground, that doesn't really change, and you see people split up because of things like that, and it's really important, and a lot of people don't know. I ask my coworkers or some of my friends or my colleagues, and they don't know how to do it, and it's super necessary, and it's not going to go away. Public speaking, conflict resolution, and maybe I would say empathy or EQ in general. So emotional intelligence, being able to see someone's emotions, see where they're at, and understand. Uh, quote unquote, a lot of guys can struggle with this, where they're like looking at either their girlfriend or a friend, like, what's wrong with you? Why are you doing this? Why are you like this? Not understanding that different emotional levels can really affect certain people. And I'm one of those people where I actually have a very hard time understanding people's emotions and why are you acting like this? I don't understand. But my mom's a therapist and I would say an empathy slash soft skill expert in that area. And she was able to be like, hey, you know, that's if something like that happens, you don't necessarily have to understand or say anything, but sometimes just being there is enough. And I want to really help people like that because I don't understand. I still don't 100% understand, but I would say that my skills in that area have improved. But yeah,
Very cool, very cool. So, what's your grand vision for Soft School? Do you want it to become a giant company, in startup parlance, a unicorn, a private company that's worth $1 billion plus, or at least valued at $1 billion plus?
mm,
Or is your focus on that, or is it on helping as many students really start to develop those soft skills that you've been talking about?
great question. My original idea was to help kids with autism on the spectrum, and that kind of evolved to everyone else. And I realized that money's great. Money's great. It can
It
get you a
is.
lot of things. It can help a lot of people. And I obviously want to make money in this business, but because it was an assignment and I really wanted to make a big impact, I wanted to help as many people as possible. I've already seen the effects in my own software affect me, where I've been able to do things in my own life, and it's been fantastic. And I want to share that with as many people as I can, specifically with middle school kids. That age range is the most, I would say, one of the most influential in a child's development. You know, puberty is happening, drugs is happening, gangs are happening. Those are the things that are introduced at that age range. And if we can hit those kids, then their chances for growth will grow exponentially.
Yeah, that is one of those questions that you really can't answer completely right. So sorry for asking that, but yeah, I mean, so
Okay.
if you do a great job and you start helping kids really develop these skills, the money will also come, right?
Yeah.
And that money, like you were talking about earlier with your business when you were in your what was it, second grade, third grade, where
Yeah.
you were selling origami, you were
Mhm.
putting the money that you're making back into buying more card stock and creating more origami figures to sell to your fellow students. I mean, that's the same thing here. So the more people you help, the more money that you'll make, then you'll put that money back into the business. And it becomes this virtual circle where you are able to help more and more people over time.
Right.
So that's great. Do you have any other businesses that you're working on at the time? Or, I mean, you just graduated,
Mhm.
it's one of those really pivotal moments in your life,
Mhm.
not to make you, freak out if you haven't been thinking about this, but I'm
Yeah.
sure you have. So what are the plans? Is it all in on soft school right now? Is there something else going on?
Sure. So right now, I'm actually in the Disneyland parade as a professional rollerblader,
Cool.
and so that's been an interesting journey. I've done multiple rollerblading gigs. So if I were to go full in, I would have to have a job that's somewhat flexible, and now I have that under my belt. So we'll see where professional rollerblading can get me. How many things I could do with that. My other, how do I say this? A lot of my friends call my side missions because I've been doing so many different things throughout my college and I guess adult life. The the most recent, other than my professional rollerblading, has been substitute teaching. I've gotten my substitute license and I'm going to be getting some interviews in the near time, and hopefully by the time fast pitch starts, I'm a substitute teacher. And I want to get the quote unquote field research. I haven't been back into middle school or high school in years, so I want to get that a little bit of that exposure and make some money and kind of have a way to fund the soft school when I need to do it. If it was a unicorn and I can have all the funding and not have to owe anybody, that'd be fantastic. That's a goal, but If not, then this is the way I want to try. And worst case scenario, I can get, I don't know, there's ways to get money, a VC, angel, just a bank loan. Those are all viable options. But if I can do it my way first, and then when I need it, if I need it, then I'll do that route. But if not, then
Yeah.
substitute teaching or rollerblading.
Yeah, I think that that's probably the best way to go when you're first starting your business. Bootstrap it,
Mhm.
use the money that you're making from being a professional rollerblader, and
Sure.
this is the first time I think I've ever talked to somebody who is a professional rollerblader. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. I didn't realize that was on my bucket list, but now I've done it. So that is really cool. And then yeah, just building it organically,
Mhm.
and especially the way that startup funding is going right now. There was a time, and there probably will be again, when just ideas were funded, and they were able to raise hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars just from the idea. But that's not really so much the case right now, at least in the startups that I know. They have
Mhm.
to build it. They have to have some proof of concept and
Yeah.
product market fit. They have to have some traction, in other words, before they're
Right.
able to start raising, that seed round, and then A, B, C,
Mhm.
and so on, so forth. So I think you're going about it in the right way. We're nearing the end of this conversation. You've done a great job. You're a good spokesperson for soft skills.
Thank you.
Congratulations on that. Probably pretty important for somebody who's making it his business. So
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
job. Do you have any advice to students? This is the question that I usually end it with. Just even general advice. It doesn't have to be specific to launching a startup or anything else. What advice do you give to students?
I think the biggest thing that I've learned, I guess two things. One is stick with it. My family was an immigrant family, and so they knew that college was a way to be more safe and secure, especially in your career. And I was super against college growing up. But at the end, as much as it hurts me so much, they were right. And I'm glad I stuck with it because I learned so much through the entrepreneurship program. And I learned just a little bit from the rest of my schooling. The second thing is try as many things as possible. My friends always say, Jonathan, what are you doing next? What's the new thing you're trying? And I've tried so many businesses. I've tried so many different random jobs and careers. And my resume is so diverse. It I don't even know how to put it all in one page anymore because there's so many things I've tried. And there's not to say there's little risk, but I've learned so much through each venture, each job that I can apply it in all different areas in my life. I can look back on different things that I've done and apply it to my soft school. All of my businesses that I've done uh, are all accumulating in this final, not final. I'm not going to say final, but my most recent venture.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're probably in your early mid-20s. I don't know. You don't have to say. So yeah, this is probably not your your final act. There'll probably be many, many more.
Hmm.
So great advice, Jonathan. Where can people follow your journey? You said you have a website up.
Hmm.
What
So
what's the website?
So it's going to be softschool.ai. Right now, it's in very, very pre-alpha. You can make an account, but it will look very strange right now in this stage. But we are 100% open to people testing the app. We'll probably have a sign up for testers very, very soon as the month comes to an end. So we can get that active feedback, and you can follow all the social media at Soft School app, whether it's Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, we're all on there.
Very
Thank you.
cool. Well, we'll definitely be following along, and whenever there's some good news to report, we'll report back, and maybe we'll do another one of these interviews. So thank you very
Yeah.
much, Jonathan.
Awesome. Thank you.